So I was talking to Sonika, who's a 312 TA, and she told me that a lot of students don't get reference versus primitive types. Like, so when you just pass in an array to a function, it actually gets changed, whereas an integer does not. So the way to think about this sort of visually is we have the variable x, which is an integer, and its value is a 4, right? So we know that x is referencing 4, but when you pass it to as a parameter, the whole thing gets passed and it totally disconnects it from whatever it was in before. So when you change x inside of your function, it doesn't change the x that you called it with, because you're just passing basically the number 4. Whereas with an array, if we had an array x of integers, right, it's pointing to this thing that's like 3, 4, 7, 8, 6. And the difference is when you, so this is an int array. So the difference is when you pass it to the function, the thing the function is getting is just this x, right? So it's getting just this, which is a reference. So what that means is anytime that something inside the function does something to x, it has to follow this arrow to this array. And so if you change position 1 to a 5, it changes that in the table. So it actually changes it in memory where the array lives. So that's why whenever you pass an array to a function and you do something to it, it actually changes it in the thing that called that function, right? And so the different types of things this happens with is, so primitives get passed by value, which means you actually do this thing, right? So primitives in Java are something like int, double, float, string. Pretty much, if you don't have to call new on it, it's primitive. And then you have the non-primitive types. And these are the things that are passed by reference, right? So this is an array list, a hash map, anything that you have to call new on. And it also is true for any class you create yourself, right? Because you again have to call new on it, so it's non-primitive. So hopefully this picture makes sense. If you're colorblind, you should comment in the on this video so that we can send you a version of this that makes way more sense. Or it'd be great if you could comment the type of colorblind that you are so we can use colors that are actually different. So my friend Jason was red-blue colorblind, and I was tutoring him in 312, and I was using red and blue for different colors. And he looks at me and he goes, I know there's different pins, but they're the same color because I'm colorblind. And so from then on, I just shoved markers at him and said, pick two that you can tell the difference between. So, arrays and references.